Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Ball Caps and Bagpipes, a Scottish baseball podcast. I'm the Glasgow Comets, John McKellar.
And I'm Jason Durr, former Baseball Scotland president and Hall of Famer.
Now, Jason, I'm going to let that breathe for a moment so that I don't talk over you like I did on several occasions in the last two episodes with you and Danny. I don't know if there was some kind of an issue on my end with a delay that was causing that, or if I was just too hopped up on caffeine to notice, but apologies for that. Today, we're going to talk about spring training, something that I have only really recently started to bother with, even though I've been a fan of baseball for almost 20 years. It's not like a football pre-season where you'll have a couple of weeks of fitness drills and then you'll play a couple of friendly matches and then it's on to the full season. What is it? Is it something along the lines of 30 ball games Major League teams play in spring training?
You're looking at 6 or 7 weeks before the season starts. So you get in there, you get your workouts in, and then you start getting as much training again to live hitting, live pitching, and you work on a few things.
Is there a particular reason that baseball, unlike even hockey, the other North American sports, they don't have a pre-season that's quite that long? Is there a specific reason that baseball players take that long to get ready?
I think it comes out of tradition. I think you look at, say, the guys in the 50s and 60s and probably in the 70s, they had an off-season job. You would be like selling tires or you'd be selling ladies Maytag. And then you'd actually have to get in shape for spring training so you'd be ready for the season. I mean, obviously now the guys make enough money that and from what I understand, they may take a or two off and recover from any kind of injuries or like that. But pretty much they train year round now.
So one thing I did notice the past couple of years is that the first positions to report are always pitchers and catchers, and they usually report a few days to a week before the rest of the team. Do you know the reason for that? Is that just a chance for them to shoot the shit and get used to each other as people? Obviously, pitcher, catcher, battery is, chemistry is kind of more important probably between those two roles, or is it something entirely different?
I think you have to get to know who your battery is. You get used to that. If you've signed a catcher or your new pitcher, it will be the first time they've actually been able to catch. Whereas batting, you can go to a cage, you can have people throw to you all the time, so you can work on stuff. But definitely with pitchers and catchers, it's a chance for them to kind of actually work with stuff. You might want to pick up in the off season. Maybe you've gone to a new team and they're trying to teach you a new grip of something or encourage you to throw your slider more, and just kind of get more of the team philosophy about pitching.
Or teach you how to drum.
Now, you wouldn't do that for all the teams there. So,
one other thing I picked up on is that for the first sort of week to 2 weeks, even still now, a week and a half, 2 weeks into spring training, you're not really seeing a lot of the big name players yet. They're not getting their 3-4 at bats at all. Starters are still only going 2-3 innings. If they have a good outing. Is there a reason that it takes so long for the established players to kind of come in? Now, obviously, there's the positive to this part of it where it's kind of a showcase of your minor league players and your younger guys, giving them a look and giving them a chance to try and possibly make the roster on opening day. But is there a reason that it takes so long for these established players to come in? I don't think Aroldis Chapman has pitched yet this spring.
No, you're going to showcase guys you normally don't get to see. So, your managers and your scouts might be say, well, stick the Yankees. You're in New York or you're on the road. You're not going to take a day off to go and visit your minor league affiliate to go see how this guy's throwing. You're just going to take the words of the scouts and the people involved with that. So, spring training gives you a chance for them to go and say, watch him throw for a day or two. Obviously, with video now, things are a little bit different, but, it's still nice to have some eyes on the ball and see what they can do in person and see stuff on video.
Now, how much importance does doing well in spring actually hold? We spoke off air about averages and ERAs. Statistics tend to be quite skewed. How important are statistics at this point of the year?
They don't make a difference. Like I said, guys are working on, say, change-ups and a new curveball and stuff like that there. So, they're bound to hang a 0-2 curveball to a guy because they're working on a pitch there and the guy's crushing it. Batters always tend to come in a little bit hotter than pitchers. and pitchers are just working on stuff. So it's not unusual to see them get lit up because they're working on a pitch that they were trying to fool guys on. It's just the way it is. So I wouldn't. I've seen on Twitter there's quite a few people who are excited about guys batting 500 right now, and they're one of the top prospects. But it's pretty easy to do well at spring training because pitchers are working on stuff. Now, if you pay attention to the last 2 weeks, you're going to see everyone's top prospects versus all the pros, and that's when you need to really start paying attention to how guys are doing then.
Spring training, yeah, it's a bit of a laugh, and it's kind of basically it's a bunch of guys playing catch and having a laugh. It's not something that needs to be taken seriously, but yeah. It's still baseball on TV, and it's been going for a very long time, it felt like, this year. So it's good to have it back.
Not only that, it gives you a chance to watch maybe the minor leaguers you hear about. Like, you can get highlights through social media and whatnot. But, maybe you've heard about your top prospect who's in Double-A. This gives you a chance to actually watch them on MLB TV, because I know most people don't have the minor league TV. So, it is kind of fun.
Yeah, it's a great point, yeah.
So yeah, watch it when you can. It's a lot of fun, and just enjoy it. Yeah, like I said, it's baseball on, and it's been a long 3 months, even though everything's been in the news. I'm pretty excited for the season to start.
Same here. It's going to be a great season. I think there are so many teams that could potentially compete this year. So many absolutely phenomenal players in the league right now. I think this is probably one of the most talented groups of players in their prime that I've seen since I was kind of a teenager, to be honest with you. So it's going to be a great season, I think. To bring it across the pond, we are also in the throes of spring training. It's not quite as big a deal as it is in the major leagues, and it certainly doesn't take the 7 weeks of constant training. However, our teams are indeed in training just now. You would have had quite a few spring trainings as a player and also as president of the league. Do you have any particular memories of spring training?
It was mostly meeting new guys. You'd have guys who would get in touch in the off season, so it was a lot of meet and greet and just chatting with guys and find out where they're from. You'd get emails from guys and say they're from the States, and you have the assumption they would be really good, and they just were passionate for the game instead. So yeah, it was a lot of fun, just kind of getting to know everyone those first couple of weeks, and then seeing how they fit with the team.
So did you ever meet anyone who was that way, where they had a great spring to start with, but then when it came to the regular season, they just struggled? Did you ever meet anyone in our league that was like that?
No, I can't remember any on the top of my head. Most of the guys were just maybe a little bit rusty for not playing for, say, 4, 5, 6 years. And I got surprised by anybody who had a cricket background, because they would come in and usually be able to hit right off the bat. So it was always a nice surprise to find out somebody had played a few years of cricket, so the hand-eye coordination was there so they could hit.
It's interesting you say that. We in the comments have had a couple of guys like that, exactly the same way. They'll come in, they've played cricket for years, they haven't got the first idea about baseball, but when they swing that bat, that hand-eye coordination and the bat speed is there, and they'll hit the ball for a mile.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what it is. I mean, I think that was probably the thing that I struggled the most with the pitchers. You could tell when you came across somebody that was a cricket player and they would just foul ball after ball after ball. And it was like, God, it would just strike out. But, that's what they do. I mean, it's cricket. You keep knocking the ball to get the thing you like and then bash the crap out of it.
Yep, it's an underrated weapon, I think. We need to have more ex-cricketers in the league to combat these pitchers.
I think you're seeing a little bit more of a crossover. I know for years the England national team and now the Scottish national team are hiring people with a baseball background to play catch and improve their arm strength more, and learn how to position yourself better for catching the ball in the air. So you're going to see more and more crossover. Kind of like you see with rugby and American football, they kind of steal from each other all the time. Do
we have anything else really to talk about with regards to spring training?
No, I think we're okay at the moment. Let's bring Federico on and let's hear about this tournament coming up.
Yeah, we're going to chat with Federico Gambidotti of the Aberdeen Baseball Club. I believe he plays for the Oilers. However, as we were talking about earlier off air, neither of the two of us is really all that clued up on either of the Aberdeen teams. We know the basics, but we haven't really had a chance to properly get a chat with any of the Aberdeen guys or ladies. So it's going to be great to have a chat with Federico this evening. As you said, as you alluded to there, we're going to talk about the upcoming tournament in Aberdeen, which is taking place on our opening day weekend. Let's chat about that. And we've got Federico Gambidotti on the show now, Jason.
Hey, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you very much. So nice to hear from you.
Thanks very much for joining us this evening, Federico. It's been a while coming. We haven't had a chance to speak with anyone involved with Aberdeen baseball on the show yet. We were discussing earlier that neither of us really is all that clued up on the operation in Aberdeen, so it's going to be great to have a chat with yourself this evening. I know that you've been quite a core part of, I think, the Oilers. Am I right?
Yes, yeah. I've always played with the Oilers since I came in Scotland.
Okay. And how long have you been in Scotland, Federico?
I came in September 2017, and played in the 18 and 19 season, and then starting 2020.
Excellent. Did you play baseball previously in your home country of Italy?
Yes, so I grew up playing baseball because my dad was a big baseball fan. So I started playing when I was 5 or 6 years old, played most of my life in Italy, and then played 1 year of high school baseball in the US, in California, and then moved to Scotland for university.
Nice one, man. What positions do you primarily play in?
I always played middle infield or outfielder, and I obviously pitched a little bit because growing up, everybody gets the chance to pitch a few games. So yeah, I've been moving around a little bit in between positions.
I think that's pretty much a staple of Scottish baseball. You may play one position, but you most likely play about 4 or 5 different positions.
Yeah, definitely, yes.
You mentioned that you played a year of high school ball in the United States. When you moved over there, did you find that to be a huge jump in quality, or was it kind of an easier transition than you expected going from Italy to American high school ball? I do know that there are some fairly well structured teams in Italy. We on the comments had a guy, Marco, who used to play over in Italy as well. So there is kind of a core of baseball there already. Was it much of a jump to go to the States for you?
Personally, I feel like it wasn't too much of a big difference between the level of baseball and in the US. Probably because I was quite lucky to grow up in a team that has like multiple categories growing up. So there is like the under 12, under 15, under 18 category. So you obviously get the chance to play against players your same age and get many games in. So when I moved in, I felt like my level of baseball was about the same as the other students in my high school. I have to say that my high school wasn't the highest baseball level you could have expected in the US. We did play against some other teams that were extremely impressive, but I would say that for me personally, it was about the same level that I was used to back in Italy.
Now, John probably won't know this, and I do. So, especially if you're in California, I think there's 6 levels of high schools. So, if you're like in the Division 6, you're talking about 2,000 people in your class. And so, if you make the baseball team, you are definitely the best of the best.
Okay, so yeah, obviously they have freshman, JV, and varsity. I was in the varsity team, which is the highest level in the high school, I guess. I don't know. I feel like overall, the difference between American baseball and European baseball comes after high school, because like when you go to college and then you get developed in one specific position with a good coaching staff, I feel like that's when there is like such a big difference, and that's why so many American players succeed in the MLB while there are so few European players. But I feel like up to 17, 18 years old is mostly your how long you've been playing for. So I feel like I was still like keeping I was like on track with the other players back at the time.
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna play at a certain level, you'll be fine, and then when it's the best to go on to play university ball and obviously get drafted.
So Federico, you played for quite some time in Italy. You played at the highest level of high school in America, as you said. Talk to us about how you ended up becoming a player in Scotland. How did you end up making that move here? You mentioned that it was for university, but how did you find baseball when you arrived?
So yes, finished my high school in the US. So I graduated from the US, and I was obviously considering uh, going to university in the United States. Unfortunately, because of costs and also because my family didn't really like the idea of me living like multiple flights away, I ended up choosing a more reasonable location for my studies, in this case, the UK. And yes, so I think that I was pushed. I would not pushed, but like I was talking with my parents, and we decided that the UK was the best option for me. And then applying to different universities and looking at the different degrees that they had, the maths and physics at the University of Aberdeen. So this is how I moved in Aberdeen in September 2017. And I remember that when I came, I was actually a little bit late to play the last the final games of the season for the 2017 Scottish National League. But I trained over the winter and then joined the beginning of the season in April 2018. My first game I remember was, I think, was 6th of April 2018, and was in Aberdeen against the Edinburgh Giants, and it was a really nice game. I feel like our team, the Oilers, that season had a lot of talent and many experienced players that made it like really fun to compete in the season. I remember that I thought that the level of baseball was quite mixed. We had, as I said, many talented players. Some other players that were just new to the sport, so they maybe had played for 1 or 2 years. So yeah, obviously, as you play the games, sometimes I feel like there are more closer games where there is I don't know, like some serious competition going on. Like I remember like the Galaxy Oilers. My in 2018 was a really exciting doubleheader in Glasgow, and then there were like some other games where, I mean, sometimes you might lose or win by a big run difference. So I feel like, yeah, the level was quite mixed, but I feel like overall every season gets better. So the overall level of every team is increasing quite quickly every single season.
I would absolutely agree with that, Federico. And you mentioned a lot of the veteran and established talent that the Oilers had back in that 2017 season. I don't know how much of that year you would have gotten to share the diamond with Stephen Evans, who I think was he was quite pivotal in the growth of baseball in Aberdeen. Did you get to spend much time with him? And tell us, if you did, tell us about the experience of learning about baseball from him, because he was a tremendous force for growth for baseball in Aberdeen.
Oh yes, of course. Obviously, Stephen Evans founded the club, both the Granite City Oilers, so the Aberdeen Baseball Club, and the University of Aberdeen Baseball Club. He developed the team. He got so many people involved as inside of the game, like players, but also outside, people that organize the games and events for the club. I mean, he knows so much about baseball. Like, if you want to talk pitching about him, he can probably go on for hours and tell you everything about any pitcher from any team. So obviously, like, with his great knowledge and passion for the game, he has been able to promote baseball so genuinely. Like, I feel like it was like really part of his day to just come to the field and teach people how to play baseball and help them improve their game. Yeah, I was actually quite lucky because I spent quite a bit of time with him. We played together the 2018 season, and we actually lived together over the summer.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, because as a student, I didn't have a flat. I was in student accommodations for my first year. So when summer came around, I needed to find a flat, and yeah, so I spent most of the summer living with Stephen, and yeah, like
The
his
real question
passion. Yes,
is Steven a good roommate?
yeah, it's we had such a great time. Dogs.
Yeah, I imagine you guys
So
summer chatting baseball, watching baseball. I bet it was probably one of the best summers you had.
yes, definitely. Yes, it was.
Now we have to get Stephen on and ask him the same
Yeah, of
question,
course.
Jason. Was Federico a good roommate?
Who was the best?
Yeah.
You know, was it like a couple? Was somebody clean and somebody dirty?
No. It was just a great time. Yeah, as you said, like it was baseball almost every day. Just like waking up and like going out with the dogs and then field all day. Yeah, it's a really good summer. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Stephen is quite sadly missed by the Aberdeen clubs and by Baseball Scotland in general. He was a great ambassador. Back to you. Did you have any personal highlights regarding your on-field performance? Do you have any areas where you feel that you're stronger, whether it be hitting, fielding, pitching? Talk us through kind of the first year or two of your tenure as a player in this league.
Me personally. So
Yeah.
So I mean, I believe that the most important part of the game is hitting. So that's where I focus most of my training. I think that you can overcome a defensive error by hitting a double or contributing offensively to what your what your team does. So yeah, I a lot of emphasis on my hitting. Unfortunately, I'm not a powerful hitter. I need to settle for my contact skills. So I try to have a high batting average, hit as many doubles as I can. And yeah, when I get on first base, just try to steal second base, be in scoring position as often as I can. That's usually the type of game that I try to play. So my first year, I feel like I had a really good hitting performance. As I said, working a lot on my batting average, making sure to hit the ball square as often as I could. And then defensively, I played most of the season at shortstop. I did have a few games at third base, I think. Yeah, I was just doing, just filling the shortstop position, just making sure to fill the ball as clean as I can and make nice throws to first base. But yeah, my first year I emphasized a lot on my hitting. I pitched a lot as well. As I said, growing up, I was a pitcher as well sometimes. But joining the Grain City Oilers, I've been spending more time on the mound. So I trained a lot as well for pitching, and Steve helped develop my pitching skills. Yeah, so this was pretty much my first season. My second season, so yes, in the 2019 season, I tried to develop my power a little bit more. And so, yeah, obviously my batting average went down a little bit. And then my pitching performance, I feel like, was not as good for multiple reasons. On my personal side, I feel that my pitching training was not as good quality-wise comparing to the previous year, because of obviously like Steven wasn't there, so he definitely helped a lot with my pitching and other pitchers as well. And then obviously the league was getting better every year. I feel like my first season I was just like taking advantage of my fastball as often as I could, but in my second season I feel like everybody was ready for my speed, so I had to work more on breaking pitches and other things that obviously are more difficult to throw and develop. So definitely was a difficult year for my pitching performance.
Now, you say it was a difficult year. For I'm looking at the stat line just now. It looks like you struck out exactly 100 batters last season. And regarding your performance at the plate, you batted 438. So I don't think there was that much of a drop-off, certainly not to the point that you should be worried. You stole a lot of bases also, 12 bases stolen, and you walked a fair amount. So I think overall, those 5 tools I think you utilised them pretty well, and you pitched pretty superbly. I remember there was a double-header at Everfield, and I think you pitched the first game.
Mm-hmm.
And you pretty much locked us down. You locked us down for pretty much the entire game. That was a miserable day at the plate.
I remember the game. Yeah, I felt really well. It was it the last? Was towards the end of the season? Yeah.
It was, yes. I think it was probably our second last. It was either our second last weekend of play, or it was our set. It was definitely, I think, our last. It might have been our last home stand that we had of the year. It was late on. I think it was probably
I think
late
so,
August.
Yeah.
I would like to say. Yeah, it was fun. It was a long day at the park. It was fun, but that first game was not a good game to hit in for us at all. You pretty much nailed us.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I mean, when I get on the mound, like it's my job to throw hard.
Yeah, Jason, I don't think that you've ever. You obviously will never have faced this fellow, but he throws hard. Yeah. Now, moving forward to kind of now and what's coming, do you have any goals as a club and also yourself as a player moving into 2020?
So obviously the Aberdeen Baseball Club is growing every year. We have more members, more players, and more people are involved overall with the club, from sponsors to volunteers. So the club is growing really fast. Obviously we have 2 teams inside, which are the Granite City Oilers and the Aberdeen Express. Both teams had a good season last year, especially the Aberdeen Express that reached the final against the Glasgow Galaxy. So I would say that the 2 teams are currently focusing on different goals. I would say that the Oilers need to have a more solid performance comparing to the previous year. So we're trying to develop more players in order to be more competitive for this season. While obviously the Express are trying to match their previous performance and then hopefully go a step further. So slightly different point of views. The Oilers have maybe younger players as well that hopefully will perform better this in the 2020 season, while the Express have a core of solid players that are already able to perform and do well. I was thinking about me personally as goals for the season. I would say that my first goal would be to be healthier, being able to play every single game with the same quality and the same consistency. So be able to throw hard every single game when I'm pitching, and being able to hit and run as consistently as I can. I feel like sometimes last year I had a bit of slump at the beginning of the season, and then so I wasn't hitting very well, and my arm felt a bit sore during a few games. So definitely trying to be healthier this season, and just trying to be a better athlete overall. So being able to run faster and have a better mechanics as well on my swing. So we'll see how it goes.
Are you doing anything in particular in winter training to try and ensure that does happen? Have you made any adjustments to your winter training and how you're going about your business to try and improve these things and try and ensure that you're able to play every game at your kind of highest level?
So, well, obviously baseball is a sport that puts together so many aspects of being an athlete, because you need to be strong and fast and have a good technique when you're fielding and throwing and hitting. So I try to focus on 2 different areas, like the aspects of the game, like So being able to field the ball with a good, consistent mechanics and being able to throw as well as I can. And then on the other side, I try to being able to be faster, stronger, and all the other things. So from a baseball point of view, I train with the Aberdeen University Baseball Club and with the Aberdeen Baseball Club. So we've been training throughout the winter, usually 2 trainings a week, sometimes 3, just like to get used to not lose the focus and the rhythm from the game of baseball. So just keeping that low but consistent training going on for the winter. And now in the past 2-3 weeks, we've been going outside, so doing more batting practice and actually playing on the field, which obviously like helps like getting as many reps on the field where you play the games is actually what matters, because training in a gym with the synthetic turf is not the same feeling, is not the same game. And then for my personal athletic performance, I just try to go run sprints pretty much, and then try to swim once in a while just to keep my shoulders healthy, and then going to the gym sometimes, just being sure that like I can keep my core and my upper body, lower body all balanced. And yeah, this is usually what I try to do.
Great, man. Let's move on to the Aberdeen University tournament that we have coming up. It's a 3-day event, 27th to 29th of March, am I right? Talk us through the particulars of that. It's not something that either Jason or I are particularly well versed on. How did this come about? What are you expecting on the day? I know that there is a qualifying weekend. Is it this Sunday?
It's next Sunday, yes. Sunday, 15th of March, the Aberdeen University Baseball Club is playing against the University of Stirling. So both teams are in the Scottish division for the University National Baseball League. And this will be the final game of the season, and both teams can still qualify for the finals in London. So yeah, it's pretty much going to be a head-to-head. Whoever wins gets access to the finals. So it's going to be a very exciting weekend. We've played Stirling before last year and this year as well. And it's always been tight games. So we expect it to be a challenging day for our club, but we're sure that the players will do their best. And then the weekend after, 2 weekends after, is going to be, the Aberdeen University Baseball Tournament, the 4-seam baseball tournament, which will be a 3-day tournament, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the 27th, 28th, and 29th of March. And what we decided, so the idea came out because playing in Aberdeen, obviously we are quite north compared to many other clubs in the UK. So we always play in a Scottish division or Northern division. So we always play the same teams. We always play, obviously, like Stirling, and then Glasgow and Edinburgh. This year didn't have university teams, but we will be playing against them. And then in general, the Northern UK and English clubs. So we really wanted to play against someone else. And we tried to put together this tournament, which has 3 main goals. I mean, obviously, we want to play more games. So that was our first goal. And then the second goal was to have a big event so that locals could actually see live baseball in Scotland. And the third part of the tournament is to promote it as much on social media. So we have put together a team of photographers and videographers that will take interviews and videos throughout the game, and we'll post them so that hopefully more people in Scotland will hear about baseball and will come join the club or support the teams. And this is our final goal. So make sure that people know about baseball and get involved.
Sounds great, man. Now, how many teams are involved and exactly which teams
So
are
our
they?
goal is to get 6 teams, and we have spoken with. So the deadline to apply is not here yet. Is the 15th of March, which is next Sunday, next week.
Right.
And so for many clubs in the UK, it can be quite of a travel getting to Aberdeen. So the clubs interested at the moment are Stirling, University of Stirling, University of Hull, and Cambridge University. And we're trying to involve other 2 clubs that hopefully will be able to reach like the 6 teams in the tournament. Yeah.
Nice one. I hope that does come to pass. It's a great idea. It's another fantastic idea and a way of growing the sport in not just Scotland but the UK in general. If there's going to be clubs coming up from Hull or Cambridge, hopefully. I wish you guys all the best with that. Jason, do you have anything you want to touch on regarding the tournament?
So I was wondering, obviously I've not played for 2 years, 3 years now. How is the level of Stirling University? Because I know they were always trying to get a team together and they never could quite do it. So, yeah, I'm curious just because do any of the guys actually play in the Scottish League when it comes to summertime?
Yes, so Stirling University has a good baseball club. I would say that they have a core of 5-6 experienced players that play solid baseball, so good level of baseball. And then they have a few other players that complete the team and that are developing their skills at the moment. But it's a really good team for being university level. So they have good pitching and good hitting. So it's always a really nice matchup when they come up to Aberdeen.
And the other question I had is, you guys call yourself the Kings. Now, how did you guys come to the name of the Aberdeen University Kings?
It comes from the main university building that we have on campus, King's College.
King's College. Okay, that's it. I was wondering that for a long time, and I don't actually go to Aberdeen all that often, so that would make a whole lot of sense.
One other thing I wanted to touch on regarding the tournament is the final day of that tournament will be the Sunday, 29th of March, which is opening day for the Scottish National League. Do you, or is there any kind of feeling in Aberdeen that you're kind of missing out in any way with not being able to play a league game that weekend?
I mean, obviously, this will the fact that we're playing a tournament on the opening day, the 29th of March, might cause our team to be slightly behind on their getting ready for the season, because obviously the week after this will be the second team for most teams in the Scottish League, while for us will be only the first one. I don't think that we'll have a huge impact. I'm sure that the Oilers and the Express will get the chance to play spring training games and get ready for the season in another way. I don't think it will be a big missing out.
And the last thing I want to touch on regarding Aberdeen baseball with you this evening, Federico, is the prevalence of ladies on both the Oilers and Express. It's women in sport is something that I think is still sorely needed more of across the board. You guys in Aberdeen seem to be leading the charge with regards to ladies in baseball in Scotland. Is this a conscious effort on you guys' part? Or have you guys just happened to run into more ladies?
Yes, this is a conscious effort. Our club has always tried to involve as many females as possible. It's a mixed baseball league, so we think that both women athletes and men athletes should be represented on the club. So we obviously try to involve as many female players as we can. This year we have had I think it's 12 female players between university and Aberdeen Baseball Club. So we're really proud of where we are right now, and we're actually proud to host the first training on International Women's Day on Sunday, the 8th of March as well. So we will have women baseball players from all over Scotland coming to Aberdeen for a training and a day of baseball and getting to know each other and spreading the love for baseball around the country. Yeah,
that's great, man. That's great. I think it's very commendable, and want to wish you personally and obviously both Aberdeen teams all the best for the coming season.
Thank you very much.
Let's have a great
You
year.
too for the comments, and thank you for having me here, Jason and John.
Yeah, we're looking forward to seeing you down in Edinburgh, and I'll come down and say hi and catch a game or two. So.
Oh, that's great. Fantastic.
So again, that was Federico Gambadotti of the Granite City Oilers. Thanks again, Federico, for coming on. Great chat.
It was great.
It
was finally nice to chat to him. I've heard so much about him. I'm excited for the tournament they have on with Aberdeen University. It's good to see that the university sports are going in Scotland.
Yep, and also like I touched on, the women as well up in Aberdeen are, whatever it is that they're doing to get women involved in baseball is working. You know, I know that there are one or two in Edinburgh. There's currently one playing for a team in Glasgow. But like he said, a dozen women between the Aberdeen club and the university. They're making great strides to include more women. So I think this should definitely be commended on that. Great insights from Federico as well. I didn't realise that he played ball in the United States in high school.
No, that was interesting to find out, and it was curious to find out that thought it was about the same level he played in Italy. So watch out. That could be the next pipeline of major league players might come from Italy.
Quite possibly. I mean, we like I said earlier, we have in Glasgow had a couple of particularly strong Italian players. There was Marco and also Riccardo, who pitched for the Galaxy a few years back. These are guys who played at quite a high level in Italy as well. So who knows? We could start to see, Major League scouts start to look towards Italy moving forward a bit more.
So I know the first guy to sign from Europe, I don't know, maybe it was not, but the Mariners signed him, and it was Alex Liddy, and he was a shortstop. I think they eventually moved him to second base on there, but I definitely remember him being one of the first guys signed through Europe to play, obviously in the States. And of course, there's Max Kepler, who came out of Germany and was signed.
Yeah, there seems to be more European players now than there were when I was a kid, even, which wasn't too long ago. It seems like Europe is beginning to... It's starting to trickle through. Obviously, not to the extent that Japanese players have started to proliferate in the US and Major League Baseball, but I think it could eventually get to that level.
Absolutely. Like I said, it'd be fun to watch. It's getting bigger and bigger every year. I know when you head to the mainland, there's definitely much, much stronger teams out there. So hopefully the London games, attract more people from Europe into the game. And we'll see if it comes back next year or if it goes somewhere, say like Berlin or Barcelona or something like that.
Yeah, that's something I hadn't thought of either, actually. Like, there's nothing to say that it stays in London. It could go further east to mainland Europe. There are some huge and quite stunning stadiums across Europe as well. So if I'm Rob Manfred, if I'm Major League Baseball, if the London series starts to lose its lustre in any way, shape or form, there's an entire continent of countries that are out there that could potentially be large markets for these games.
Well, that's interesting. So there's still tickets for the MLB London games now, which was sold out immediately last year. So we'll be curious to see how it goes with the Euros this year. It's definitely keeping people from coming over. I think the timing's a little different than last year too. But I guess we really need it to sell out so it can at least have the possibility of coming back to London or somewhere else in Europe.
Yeah, I mean, setting aside my hatred of Rob Manfred and my, I'm kind of stabbing at a voodoo doll, hoping that any idea of Rob Manfred's will fail. But, the London games were great for the profile of baseball in the UK last year. So it would be a shame if a poorly performing London series kind of robs other markets in Europe of that experience. We'll see how it goes this coming summer.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to deny the Euros. It's the top sport in Europe. People are going to go and watch it. I mean, I'm excited for the Euros. I can't wait to watch it this year. And I don't even have a country to root for. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I hope it sells out. I still plan to go and catch at least one of the games. I know the second game was moved from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock to not butt up against the England game, which is the same time. It starts at 1 o'clock.
I see. I didn't actually know about the change, the time change.
Oh yeah, it happened fairly recently. I saw that because then I was thinking that I could do the Saturday game and then catch a 10 o'clock in the morning train back up to Edinburgh, and then be up at 2:30, and then still have time to catch the 4 o'clock game, and still be able to watch the whole series.
Okay. Well, that sounds ideal, actually. Alrighty, so let's put a pin in that for now and move on to the close. What do we have for the listeners on this particular day in baseball history? This is, obviously, as we record this is Friday evening. We're a couple of dads, so we're not out partying. We're sitting recording a podcast about baseball instead. What do we have on your Bubba on baseball accounts for this particular day in baseball history?
This is how we roll. So, Friday nights are no longer the Friday nights we used to know. So this time in 1973, it was the first chance to test out the designated hitter. So Larry Hissel of the Minnesota Twins had 2 home runs and 7 RBIs versus the Pittsburgh Pirates. And the whole idea behind of having the designated hitter was to inject more offense into the game.
What are you? Now, we're both fans of American League teams. I'm a Yankees fan, you're a Mariners fan. So there could be the potential for bias here. However, I know how I feel about the DH. What are your thoughts on the designated hitter?
So I like the fact that both leagues have both. I like National League. I like watching the pitchers bat. Now, I know a lot of people don't, but I also grew up watching a lot of Cubs games and a lot of Braves games. So I like the strategy behind the double switch and making sure you have that. But I can understand why people don't want your pitcher batting. You don't want them hurting themselves. But there, funny enough, it was. I follow Ferguson Jenkins, who is a Hall of Famer, and he was saying his first at bat, he hit a home run off Don Sutton, another Hall of Famer. So back in the day, pitchers could swing the stick.
This is kind of why, I personally am not a fan of the designated hitter. I think it should be done away with. I don't like the way it's going, where it's going to probably expand in the next couple of years into the NL. I think if you're a baseball player, you should be playing both sides of the ball. It's a pitcher's responsibility to be able to hit. And if pitchers can't hit, it's not really something that you should just take out of the game completely by replacing them with the designated hitter. It's not something I'm a fan of at all. And I'm saying this as a Yankee fan who we benefited from the DH as much as anyone. We've had guys like Hideki Matsui become full-time DHs and have almost an entire other career, after an injury or after their bodies breaking down after years of playing a position. We had Alex Rodriguez. At the moment, we occasionally have Giancarlo Stanton. But I would rather see each player play both sides of the ball, especially considering the obscene amounts of money that these ball players are on these days. I don't think it's really expecting too much to expect them to be able to play, the game in its entirety. It's one of the reasons that I'm not an advocate of a guy like Edgar Martinez being a Hall of Famer. I do appreciate that his numbers are Hall of Fame numbers. He was a tremendous hitter, but he was only a hitter. He didn't play both sides of the ball, and early in his career when he did, he wasn't exactly anything to write home about as a fielder. So I have strong feelings against the DH. So I think it was a dark day in baseball history in 1973.
Yeah, this might be the last podcast. You just insulted one of my favorite players.
No, don't get me wrong. Like I say, I do appreciate the cult of Edgar. He was an absolutely phenomenal hitter. He's one of the best hitters I've ever seen. Is he a Hall of Famer because he was a great hitter?
Yeah, I mean,
he has Hall of Fame offensive numbers, but he only had to concentrate on half the game. That's just the way I see it. I don't like it.
The flip thing about anyone that's in the Hall of Fame for the defense.
Well, that's it. I mean, definitely. I mean, to be in the Hall of Fame, you need to excel at both sides. If you excel at both sides, then you should be a Hall of Famer. You should never be a Hall of Famer for excelling at one of them. A Hall of Famer should always be a 5-tool player, Otherwise, what's the point of the Hall of Fame?
We'll end it on this one. So then, where do you stand in Mario Rivera?
Mariano Rivera is the greatest relief pitcher of all time. I think there is a difference when it's a relief pitcher, because that's a specialised role. Yes, you could say that DH is a specialised role. However, it's a role that's been kind of shoehorned into the game, whereas I think the relief pitcher has evolved more naturally. That would probably be my stand. I don't think that Mo should have been a unanimous Hall of Famer.
I mean,
if anyone was going to be a unanimous Hall of Famer, it should have probably been Ken Griffey Jr. in an ideal world. I think that was probably derailed by injury.
Yeah, I lost you there. So that's all right. We're going off on a tangent.
I know. That's just my stance on it. You know, I think the two are different arguments. I have seen that argument before of, you know, if a DH shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame, then neither should a closing pitcher. But they're different arguments. The role of the closer has evolved more naturally, whereas the DH is just, here's a guy who can hit well still, but can't play defense, so let's just chuck him in the DH
you
spot.
think of it this way. So say Edgar, there was no DH. You had to put. They would have found a spot for Ed, whether it would have been third base or first base. His bat would have forced his way into the lineup. But since they had that, they could put him at DH.
Yeah. Would his defensive issues not have impacted his Hall of Fame credentials, though?
Yes and no. I mean, the biggest argument would be Jim Edmonds. Now, he was a slightly above average hitter and a spectacular fielder. And if you look at his analytics and look at his WAR, he was amazing. But everyone's like never appreciated Jim Edmonds. Every time we talk to anybody that's a Cardinal fan, they always talk about how Jim Edmonds has been robbed from the Hall of Fame.
I completely agree with that. I mean, I think Jim Edmonds is the kind of guy who should be getting consideration for the Hall of Fame over a guy like Edgar, because he played both sides of the ball to a very high standard. And I'll tell you, as much as, and you know how much I love Derek Jeter, he should not have been in a unanimous Hall of Famer. You have this whole furor about the missing, you know, the one missing ballot that he wasn't on, and all these people wanting to identify the person and lynch them in the street. It's completely ludicrous. Derek Jeter wasn't a Hall of Fame shortstop. He won 5 World Series. He was one of the greatest contact hitters of his generation. You know, by all appearances, he played clean in a very kind of, shall we say, controversial era. And he was a Hall of Fame human being in terms of being a captain of the Yankees and a leader. But I don't think that he was even warranted. I think it was 99.7%, I think, was the final. Yeah. If I'm the Hall of Fame writers, the people who have a vote, there would have been a hell of a lot fewer than that. I mean, he would still make the Hall of Fame, but I don't think he was anywhere near unanimous. And I'll say it again, I don't think Mo should have been unanimous either. Like I say, if anyone in living memory should have been a unanimous Hall of Famer, it would be Ken Griffey Jr. In an ideal world.
That's fine. I mean, then you look at like Jim Thome, who spent, I don't know how much time at first base, but, you know, was majority of DH at the end of his career. So, you know, it's one of the other things there. Is he a better was he a better first baseman or better DH?
Jim Thome produced at an extremely high level for a very long time before he became a DH. He had a Hall of Fame first base career. You know, he was no slouch at first base either. You know, it's not like he was a useless defensive player.
I'll have to look. I have no idea how his defensive career is. So, but I get in this argument with my friend that's an Indians fan, and who's a better player, Joe Thome or Edgar? We're both staunch on our own players.
I'm going to have to stump for Thome on this one. I'm so sorry.
We're never talking again.
I just said that your guy Griffey should be the only unanimous guy. Come on.
Yeah, remember, so Griffey left. So Edgar was, you know, everyone was hard. He hit the double that scored Griffey. He stayed in Seattle the whole time. You know, we were pretty pissed off when Griffey demanded to go to Cincinnati. It was the first time we had a homegrown superstar. For him to force his way out pissed a lot of people off. It's the same thing with like Randy Johnson. He forced his way out off the team, and we all knew he was talented, but it's like that. It's only now you kind of go back and go, Randy was really good. I wish management would have dealt with it better, but he just wasn't happy. So you have to look at Mariner management to, what were they doing that was pissing these guys off?
Yeah, I mean, that's also a great point. It's amazing how something that looks like a bad deal at the time can later down the line turn out to be a blessing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that year Ichiro came around, they won 116 games and tied the all-time record. So, we were pretty chuffed to see, A-Rod left, and we did even better without him.
It was the same with the Alex Rodriguez situation as well, albeit I think he was a free agent.
Yeah,
he wasn't traded, was he?
When you have $300 million sitting in front of you, you're gonna take that. And if he hadn't been with the Rangers, we wouldn't have Ichiro.
I mean, yeah, it's just like what happened with the Washington Nationals. Bryce Harper leaves, and all of a sudden they win the World Series.
Yeah, I mean, it opened up Soto's playing time, and what's the other guy? Is it? Gosh, I should know. Victor Robles. That's what it is, and that made all the difference for him. And he spent the money on pitching.
So anyway, let's close up because this has turned into a bit of a tangent. Where can the listeners find you on social media?
So you can find me on Bubba on Baseball on all social media platforms, and also don't forget to check out Dugout Classics again at the website or on social media platforms as well.
As we speak, I'm awaiting my first order from Dugout Classics. Picked up a nice Yankee jersey from the store, so look forward to receiving that. You can catch me on Twitter at John Caps Pipes. We have social media for both Facebook and Twitter for the podcast. It's just at Caps and Pipes. If you search those in the search bars, you'll find us. Do we have an Instagram page yet?
We do have an Instagram page. We haven't posted anything on it
We
yet.
probably won't post much of anything on there anyway. But I'm assuming it's the same.
Caps and Bagpipes on Instagram.
Okay, so if by all means give us a follow. It won't be very active. I think you've got too much going on with your other Instagram accounts and stuff like that anyway. So
you say that now, I'll probably end up taking a photo of tonight to say, here we go, here's the man cave, here's where we record from.
Well, by all means do that. I don't do Instagram, so. But yeah, that's you can hear the show wherever you get your favourite podcasts. Just search Ball Caps and Bagpipes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Obviously, we have our homepage at anchor.fm/caps and pipes. Please do get in touch with us. Let us know what you think of the show. And thank you very much for listening.
Yep, guys. We'll see you guys next week.
Catch you later. Goodbye.